The Preface to The History of Reconstruction in Louisiana by John Rose Ficklen, 1910. It has been said by a Northern historian that the story of the war between the states should be written by writers of the North because the victors can always afford to show, and will show, a more generous spirit in dealing with the facts than can be expected of the conquered, and also for the reason that the Northern view is in the main correct. From this proposition, the corollary has been drawn that the story of Reconstruction in the South should be told by writers of the South. For to the South was given the final victory in this conflict, and it is beginning to be acknowledged by writers of the North that Reconstruction of the congressional type was a gigantic blunder, if not a political crime. Whatever may be thought of the theories just mentioned, no one will deny that in the official records of the time we have the facts given in exasperating detail of the political progress of Reconstruction. Innumerable investigations, filling volumes, orders and statutes and decisions of court galore. For no other period is there so much sworn testimony, but of the life of the South at this period, of the thoughts and feelings of the mass of people who were disaffected to the federal government, no adequate portrayal has been given for the South as a whole. Novelists and essayists have attempted it for particular states, but even here their attempts, however successful, have not given more than a partial view of life in the South during those days of storm and stress. Such a book is not easy of execution. Those who lived through the time either do not care to write of their humiliation, or are so carried away by the intensity of their feelings that they present a distorted view of the period as a whole. The task must fall to the historian of the younger generation, but it demands a rarely sympathetic touch to draw forth from those who lived through the period the recollection that they would often rather conceal than reveal. It requires much power of generalization not to lose oneself in the infinite detail while drawing a picture that shall be clear and distinct, and it requires a calmness and impartiality of judgment, hitherto little shown by North or South, to enter into the thoughts and feelings of that day and to weigh its conflicting aims and purposes, to gather the needed materials, to get into touch with those who can speak with authority will naturally be the task of Southern writers. Recognition of this fact has been constantly coming from the North itself, and the present writer has received abundant encouragement from his Northern friends and colleagues in the arduous task of describing the Reconstruction period in Louisiana, since he set it before him some 5 years ago. It is not for the writer to arrogate to himself especial qualifications for his task, but he might without presumption urge that he has been accustomed for many years to deal with historical problems in which the passions of men were involved, and in this instance he was too young to take any part in the events which he wishes to narrate, and thus may escape some of the snares of partisanship. Actual participants in a struggle are almost never the best narrators of events. Their narratives are valuable for comparison with the narratives of those who were opposed to them, but generally those who participate are too near to see the whole or to catch the proper perspective. Born in another Southern state, the writer came to Louisiana just at the close of the period of Reconstruction, and the best years of his life have been passed among men who were active participants in the work, and he numbers among his acquaintances some of the prominent actors on both sides of the great controversy. Upon these facts, he bases his hopes of a fairly unbiased judgment. He does not expect, nor wish, however, to produce a colorless narrative. He proposes to comment freely on events and on the characters of the men who figured therein. John R. Ficklen.